Namaste, welcome, vanakkam, swagatam, and so many other ways that we every Saturday, 11 a.m., welcome you guys back on the Dekho Apna Desh platform. Every episode is like a baby. And so, therefore, every episode is really special. But today's episode is particularly special, viewers, because till now we have been telling you travel, 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 tour, tour, tour. But today we are going to tell you travel, but do so responsibly. Because the more that we are going to travel, the more the need for responsibility. And responsibility comes in so many simple ways that actually go a long way in making a difference. And as post-COVID, travel has increased more and more. And in fact, we are getting some data from across the country. Domestic travel has been doing phenomenally well. And people have really been traveling, and we are really not only happy about that, but we are also very thankful to all of you viewers who have taken a lot of ideas from the Dekho Apna Desh webinars also. You've been asking us where to travel. We've been giving you a lot of suggestions. So it's been a beautiful journey of Dekho Apna Desh. But we do believe that as we open up after post-COVID and welcome not just the domestic travelers, but also a lot of international travels will be happening. People will be coming into our beautiful country very soon. The need to create the message around responsible tourism cannot be more important than at this juncture. We are also aware that the world is studying currently, and this whole decade is dedicated to sustainable living, to climate change. There's so much of heating, warming, and those snows melting, and so much else that is happening. And would you believe it that there are small little habit changes that are probably required, which will make a difference to the Mother Earth on which we all live? And when it comes to one's own country, any amount of responsibility is just not enough in making sure that the Mother Earth into which we are born, into which we are living, and we want to showcase it to the rest of the world, has to be kept so beautifully, just like we keep our homes. This is our home. So we need to really work together. And taking this narrative forward today, especially to all the students who have joined in under the aegis of the Association of Indian Universities, we've been trying to bring you special sessions. And so today's special session is to remind all of you, the young minds of India, that you are the ones who are going to take this whole narrative forward. You are the ones who are taking the country forward, the Atmanirbhar Bharat that we are talking about, and that sense of pride that we all have for our beautiful country, how to do so responsibly. And I'm so glad to welcome amidst us another very young Indian, Vishaljit Singh. Vishal, welcome to our platform, and thank you for taking this responsibility. And Vishal is from Chandigarh, so from a beautiful city of India. And currently, but he's sitting in Meghalaya, and he's sitting in the Garo part, the western part of Meghalaya. I can assure you guys, if you haven't been to Meghalaya, do so, because it is such a beautiful part of our country. I've had the chance of going there, and I encourage all of you. Now, what I must tell everybody who's joined in today, especially the students from the universities, that we run a quiz post this episode, because these episodes are special. They are meant to create a little bit of curiosity. So listen to every word that Vishaljit tells you with great amount of seriousness. Put questions in the question box, because after the quiz, we run a kind of a lottery system, because we can't take all of you in one go, but we run a lottery system, and we actually take you for a physical tour of the northeastern part of our country. The last tour, Vishaljit, I must tell you, we took the children with us to Kohima, to Nagaland, as part of the International Travel Mart. And we had an absolutely amazing time. The children carried back such amazing memories from, and I'm sure a lot of them made friends for life. And so this is, how we are hoping to create not just value for tourism, but also that sense of Ek Bharat, Shresh Bharat, that we are one country, we are one nation, and we all have the sentiment of the same as my neighbor, as you, me. And so let's work together to create that beautiful sentiment of incredible India. So Vishaljit, I think that's a lot of talking from me. And thank you, viewers, once again. And thank you, NEGD, for always being such amazing partners to us. I'll just leave everybody with one little information, that the NEGD, of course, has always been recording all our webinars, and they are available on the Ministry of Tourism's website under the Dekho Apna Desh banner. So if you miss a session, or if you've just decided to travel to a particular part of the country, just go to the index, look up that particular session and plan your travels. But more importantly, NEGD is now on its own initiative, making us a dedicated portal of Dekho Apna Desh. And for that, we really want to thank the CEO of NEGD, Mr. Abhishek Singh, Shilo, who big thanks to you. I don't know if you've joined today, Firoz, all the team members from NEGD who have tirelessly made sure that they've been awake with us every Saturday, making sure that the program reaches to not only people who've tuned in from India, but people who tune in from more than 60 countries from across the world. So that's been a beautiful journey. So let's build our beautiful Dekho Apna Desh series and take it forward, but responsibly. Thank you, Vishaljeet, once again, and this web stage is all yours.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that warm welcome. And first of all, welcome everyone to this particular webinar. I've myself been a fan of Dekho Apna Desh series, and I've enjoyed these sessions that have taken me across the country, given me a new perspective of how travel looks like, and given me a question at the end of each session as well of how I want to travel and what practices I want to follow. And that is why I'm here today, to share my particular journey, my experience, my thought process about how I travel, and what I particularly believe should be the correct set of steps to take travel forward, and how it can also help in development at the same time. To kick off things, firstly, as Madam said, that a lot of students have joined in, and myself being a student not so long ago, I can tell you that I have always wanted to travel to different parts of India first and experience how varied the cultures are, how different the people are, how different the communities are. But at the same time, the Vasudev Kutumbakam, the global village word that we hear for India, is something that you get to see when you visit these locations. And I'll share some couple of examples of what I mean when I say about these locations, starting off with the Dal Lake in Srinagar. So you visit this particular place and you see a lot of communities living in together. From there, you go down south to the tea gardens in Kerala. And from there, you come to Northeast India in Meghalaya, where I am currently, in this beautiful crystal clear lake, where you can actually feel that you're floating on water. And from there, you move on to Ladakh, which offers this clear sky, which is a dream come true for all the night watchers. And this is just an example of how diverse our country is, what our country has to offer. At the same time, when you're traveling to these particular locations and you watch, you're dekhe, aap apna desh dekh rahe hain. At the same time, you experience this tasty, delicious cuisines around these particular locations. And you can actually feel the different sense of cultures through the food that you try at these locations. And when you are at these locations, obviously you meet these people, you experience their culture. These are some photos from different cultures. I started the first one, which is from Ladakh. It's a festival, it's a Losar festival. And something that I personally would recommend everyone to visit. And this festival gives an example, it's actually a new year, which is not a traditional New Year, which falls on 1st of January, but it's a different date. So they follow a different calendar as well, according to their culture. And that is where we're able to see that, different communities coming together and enjoy, and the rest we know. But the question that arises when I think of these particular places, and I've thought of traveling and I've traveled to these particular places in the past as well, is that we've all heard this particular statement saying travel is good for your soul. This is something that is a very Instagrammable caption as well. But at the same time, the question that comes to my mind is, when I'm traveling to these locations, what do I need to think of? What are the implications of my travel? What am I taking to this destination? What am I gonna bring back from this destination? And that is what I'm here to share as what I've experienced in the past as well. So for the starting, everyone wants to travel. We all want to travel and we all want to experience the places. But at the same time, what does it mean for these destinations? As Madam rightly shared, that travel is finally opening up on a full scale, and we are now able to travel to any part of the country with minimum restrictions, keeping in mind the protocols, of course. what does it take for me to go? If everyone starts going to one particular location, what does that mean for one particular destination? Or if everyone starts visiting 3 or 4 key locations, what does it mean for those 4 locations? What does it mean for the people over there? And what am I taking there, and what my practices will do to that place is something that responsible travel is all about. And that is what we discuss here. And why do we need it as well? Just kicking off things, as I shared, we all want to travel and explore new places. As ma'am rightly shared, in the previous quiz, if students were taken to Nagaland and Kohima in Nagaland, and they experienced this particular a new different culture, that is something that on a bucket list for everyone. For me as well, I would love to visit new places and experience different cultures at the same time. It's almost the hype these days that, oh, this is ticked off, this is ticked off, this place ticked off, this place ticked off. And that is what we all should be doing. At the same time, there are some things to be wary of. There are some things that we should be considerate of while doing this. And that is something that we'll talk about today. Firstly, we'll talk about the accessibility. Given the current state of development in India, almost all locations that we can think of within India are accessible through one of the modes of travel, maybe flights, trains, buses, or basically roads, or by boats. And where these don't go, you can probably trek, which is the 5th option. But what I'm trying to say is that accessibility is one key factor when you're traveling for tourism. At the same time, accommodations. When you're in these particular locations, you'd want to stay in a comfortable accommodation. You'd want something that you can feel at home, or you'd want something where you don't have to worry about what will happen in the morning. You have peace of mind while you're there. At the same time, if you can experience something in the night as well while you're staying in that particular location, it's a cherry on top. And accommodation, that being said, accommodation is the second major factor under the tourism bucket. Third, what attracts us. For each different person, it can be a different set of categories that you want to visit. For someone, it could be monuments. For someone, it could be treks. For someone, it could be lakes. For someone, it could be heritage sites. So all of that is different. For someone, it could be food. I have friends who travel for food, who go to different places just to experience food. And that is so beautiful, because it's not about just going for food, but when you're going to some particular place for food, so any attraction, you will experience the whole different culture there. And that is the beauty of India. Every 1 hour or 2 hours, you will see a different set of people. You will see a different set of emotions, a different set of expressions, a different set of faces, a different set of languages. And that is something that is very beautiful about our incredible India. At the same time, what we do is, unknowingly, we use these amenities. Now, these are amenities that at times allure us, at times are very dreamy. We go to these places and see, oh, they've given me this, let's use it. But we don't realize what the impact of this particular amenity is going to be on the location, on the destination, or how it is being sourced, or how it is going to be disposed of. So all these questions come along with when we travel. And the next question is simple: that what does it mean for that? What does this increase in tourism mean for these particular destinations? And I can share that, yes, tourism does bring development. Tourism does bring livelihood to these particular locations, but it has to be done right. It has to be done in a manner where you can contribute positively to the community that you're traveling to, or the destination that you're traveling to. One quick example is of Meghalaya itself. I'm currently in Meghalaya, and I can give you an example of what deforestation has done to this particular region. What it has done simply is that summers were supposed to come in mid of April, but they are here already. We are experiencing temperatures like none before. Day before yesterday, we read about a news which shared that the temperature in Antarctica is 30 degrees more than the average, based upon what it used to be earlier. And that is alarming. But what that means is that small steps that we take when you travel to any particular destination, not just within India, but globally, they have an impact, that they have a larger than life impact on a global scale for climate change. They have a larger than life impact on the lives of these people that you're traveling to. And to share that example, to share another example on what does that increase in tourism means, I'll just quickly go to the next slide, which talks about problems that follow. The first one is overcrowding. This particular image is of Gateway of India. And as you can see, a lot of people visit Gateway of India every day. And this is not just an example of Gateway of India, but you talk about any famous tourist destination. With travel opening up, people will start visiting these locations. People will go to these locations, and they should, because this is the national heritage of our country. It's something that we all need to experience with our own eyes to see the grandness of it. But at the same time, we need to understand what it does to the community, what it does to the local environment or the local geological system. And the second problem that follows is wastage. When we travel to any sensitive location, or even for that matter, any location in general, what happens is we are unknowingly, we have practices that take us to, let's say, throw water bottles out while we're traveling, or not keep the packets of the chips that we are eating or the snacks that we are having, rely on single-use plastic. And that creates problem not for us, because we just use it and we threw it away, but it creates a problem for the local communities. I remember having watched a documentary on waste management in Ladakh, wherein they shared that within the beautiful brown mountains in Ladakh, there is a valley which is full of garbage. And why is it there? And it's all plastic. And it's all plastic that is generated not by the locals, but by the tourists that come. And the tourists can only visit Ladakh for, the majority of the tourists can only visit Ladakh for 6 months. So that gave me a scale of what we are doing with regards to waste, with regards to what needs to be done with regards to waste when we travel to these particular locations. And the third example is a very close example to my home place in Chandigarh. This is an photograph from Shimla, which is a beautiful place and a very popular destination for people in the northern region, wherein they go to these particular locations on, let's say, it's a weekend getaway as well. But not a lot of people know about the lack of water resources in Shimla, the shortage of water that the people are experiencing, the locals are experiencing. Because of the number of footfall, the footfall that has increased in terms of the tourism. So we need to be very careful of how we are traveling, where we are traveling, and what are we doing with it. And with these 3 points, I'll just discuss these 3 points. But what these 3 points gave me is this particular image. This particular image is from a beach in India, and what it showed me simply is that, is this how I want to leave this destination? One example that I'm coming through is, but as a student, I've always thought that it's only me who's traveling. What change can I make? What difference can I bring? But I've realized over time that it's about small actions, my individual efforts, that in the long term have made these changes possible. And I'll share an example in the coming slides as well of how that has helped me reduce plastic, or that has helped me travel sustainably and responsibly. This is a question for all of us. Should our destination suffer so much? Do we really leave a destination in a manner that it's destroyed to a level that we are not leaving it, and we are not giving our future generations an option to visit these particular locations? And that is where, as a young audience, the responsibility lies on us to take these small actions and ensure that it's not just for us, but for our future generations as well. Not just our future generations, for me as well. If I want to visit a place 10 years down the lane again, will it be the same? And the quick answer is no. If you ask someone who's visited any particular destination 10 years apart, you ask if it has been the same, and the answer is no. So, and it has not improved. It has all obviously degraded in terms of the quality or the cleanliness or the overall sensitivity. And that is something that we need to discuss. That is something that we need to ponder over, of what we want to do, or what we want to do when we travel, and how we want to leave that destination. And that is where responsible travel comes into place. This is my definition of responsible travel, where I feel that it's divided into 4 single steps. First is tourism dispersal, wherein we'll talk about what that means. As I shared an example of a particular location in Mumbai or in Ladakh, why can't I go? Why can't I travel 10 kilometers extra, find a spot where there's not a lot of travelers there, but has a better view, at the same time, create a livelihood opportunity for that place? Why can't I think along those lines? It's about saving the environment, as I said, these small efforts about amenities of plastic, reusable amenities, using less of plastic. All of these small steps are saving the, going to help me save the environment. Heritage protection. This is something that is that has always intrigued me and irritated me at the same time as well. Wherein I think the question starts with, as a child, when I used to visit these locations, the question was, I once asked my mother this question, and she laughed at it and did not have a proper answer. When I saw a it was from Chandigarh itself. There's a place called Rock Garden in Chandigarh, which is made out of waste material, and someone had scribbled on one of the walls. And I asked my mother, "Is this part of the structure? Is this part of the narrative that the Rock Garden is trying to give me?" And she laughed it off. I know someone made it. And with time, I realized that that is also one way of heritage protection. That is also not scribbling on walls, or ensuring cleanliness where you are in heritage sites that you visit, is one way of responsible travel. And it is also about cultural preservation. What we need to understand is that with tourism comes the need to improve on facilities. But that should not happen at the cost of cutting down on your cultural practices. It should happen only if you're able to preserve your cultural background and host people. It should happen only if you are able to go to these places and experience the culture. And one may ask, but this lies on the destination, this lies on the host side of things, that they should preserve the culture. But they will not see an incentive to preserve the culture if we do not create the demand of experiencing that culture. If we do not ask whether, I go to any particular place in India, and if I go to Kerala and I ask and if I don't experience their culture, I just visit the commercial structures, I just visit the so-called business parts of the tourism, but don't interact with the locals, don't see what their lives look like, don't sit with them, understand their lives. That is my fault. And that is where culture preservation is part of responsible travel, and is my responsibility as a traveler when I'm going to these particular locations. It is about embracing the people. It is about thinking of the community that you're going to. And all of these 4 points come together. When they come together, they form the perfect, for me, when I talk about responsible travel, or when I think of how I can travel responsibly, these 4 points come to my mind. And as I shared, why do we need it? We need it for our future generations. The answer is simple. For future generations and for us. If not for the future generations, let's do it for us. Let's take these small steps to ensure that example that that comes to my mind is that my mother has always shared that she's been to places, and when she's been to these places, and now Amritsar. My mother has taken me to Amritsar. She was born and brought up in Amritsar. But now when I go with her to Amritsar, she tells me this one statement that we've all heard our parents say, that it's not the same Amritsar. It has changed. It has evolved. And that is something I don't want my future generations to give a message that, I'm going to take you to one particular place, but 10 years down the line, it has changed. It was better at my time. I don't want that to happen. So we need to find out ways. We need to find out opportunities where we can contribute in those 4 steps as we discussed, and see how we can embrace the community, at the same time elevate and empower the community through tourism, but preserve the culture and the heritage. I have a couple of examples to share of how people throughout the world are doing this. The first example is very close to me. It's in the northeast part of India. It's in a village called Yuksam village in Sikkim. And what this village has done, it's in the foothills. It's a starting point for trek to the Khancheng Songa peak, and it's part of the Kanchenjunga National Park. And what the community has done is they formed a committee here, which has set up homestays, which has given training to people who are running these homestays. At the same time, has promoted the travelers that are coming in to stay in these homestays, experience the local culture, provide livelihood opportunities, and help these communities further in development. So, for example, one of these homestays, they set up a homestay with bare minimums in the first year, but 2 years down the lane, they had a significant amount of earnings that they were able to reinvest back into the homestay and make it a better homestay. At the same time, it's not about, when I say they made it a better homestay, they did it in a format of bringing big beds or something. They made it a comfortable stay for the travelers. They noticed what the needs are for the travelers and what they can do within their capacity, and they figured it out. At the same time, garbage management. The village has dustbins at regular intervals where people can throw garbage and it gets segregated. And stakeholder engagement. It has to happen. It is not possible for any destination to be a sustainable destination, for any traveler to be a responsible traveler, if all the stakeholders are not engaged, if all the stakeholders are not brought in and they're not consulted while taking these decisions. And a clear example of this is, let's go global. The second example is of Palau. It's the world's first sustainable destination. This is a very tiny island with a very small population, but it caters to 5x the time of the population in terms of tourism every single year. And the people soon realize that this particular step is taking away their natural resources. So they, as a community, took initiatives to ensure that travelers that come in have a sustainable stay. And what they did was they made a Palau pledge. So when you're traveling to any particular to Palau, you have a pledge that you get a stamp on your passport that says that this is the Palau pledge and you're signing on it. At the same time, what it means is that you choose to travel sustainably. You choose to avoid plastic. You agree to living in these places and experiencing the local culture with the local people on a day-to-day basis. And that is something that has set up an unprecedented example for the whole world, the tourism industry throughout the world to follow. And I'll recommend all the youngsters there to go and check out what the Palau Pledge looks like. And finally, this is something that we at GHE have been doing in the past 10 years. We've had impact expeditions wherein travelers from around the world have come to different parts of the Himalayas and electrified remote communities. So it's not about just going to the community, living there and coming back. It's about what we can give back to the community. How can we help the community? And at the same time, how can we empower the community? How can we ensure that when we are leaving that community or that particular place or that particular destination, how can we leave it better? And this is what we've done here at GHE. We've been able to go to remote locations throughout Himalayas, install solar microgrids so that the villages or people who've not had electricity earlier now have electricity, and they now can cater to travelers. They're now upscaling from a basic setup of homestay into something different that I'll show shortly. And that is something that I particularly believe, and we here at GHE and in general, the tourism industry is moving forward to as well, wherein we think that you go to any place and the motto should be leave every place better. To what is your footprint look like? It has to be a positive footprint, and that is what we are doing as well. And as I shared, these villages that were initially electrified and started setting up homestays, they have now been developed into carbon neutral homestays. So the image that you see here is one from the Siachen Valley. The mountains that you see in the background, the snow-laden mountains, snow-capped mountains are the Siachen is the road to Siachen Glacier. And this particular house that you see is the last house until this year. It was the last house where any tourist could go. And this house is the only house in this village. And the owners there have set up homestays. They've set up carbon neutral homestays. And what does that mean is that these are boutique accommodations. Now, as I shared, it might take time for these communities to develop, but once they develop, this is how a carbon neutral homestay would look like. This is how they would reinvest back into the homes. They make it a better, comfortable stay. At the same time, keep the elements of the local tradition throughout as well. If you see over here, there's a wooden table which is part of the traditional culture. They want to keep plants inside for oxygen because it's at high altitude, and they're doing that. So they're trying to embrace new practices for hospitality. At the same time, we as travelers need to ensure that we visit such accommodations throughout India to support them so that they can improve on these facilities that they're able to provide, and help in tourism disposal, as we started with. And while doing that, this is what it looks like. These are the, if as a responsible traveler you choose to stay in any of the homestays that you travel to, these are the different SDGs that you touch throughout. And from here, what carbon neutral homestays actually looks like is they're solar powered structures, as I shared, reusable amenities. Everything has to be nature friendly, eco friendly. Instead of using water bottles, why can't we refill our water bottles? And that is where water filters are placed inside all of these homestays. These are passive solar homes so that they stay warm even during winters, and farm to table experiences. It's about organic cooking, it's about organic food. And what it means is that there are greenhouses next to the homestays. You go pluck whatever vegetables you want to cook. The host will help you cook those vegetables. Have that experience. What an experience is it to pluck out carrots at 11,000 or 12,000 feet altitude and cook it for yourself. An experience for a lifetime. And solar water heaters. So if you need water, it's locally sourced through clean energy via solar water heaters. And this is the impact that these carbon neutral homestays have had, wherein initially this was the amount of 5,000 kgs is the amount of carbon emissions that you were generating as a traveler if you were visiting any of these locations. But if you stick to 7 of those elements that I've just shared and find any particular accommodation that caters to at least 4 or 5 of those particular points, you can reduce the carbon emissions, you can travel more sustainability, more responsibly, and reduce your carbon emissions. And that to move and to add on, the next initiative that I want to share about is Astro Stays. We talked about tourism dispersal, and this is an example from Ladakh again, wherein we all have heard of the Pangong Lake, the famous Pangong Lake from the Three Idiots movie. At the same time, it's on the bucket list for everyone who wants to travel to Ladakh. But what does that mean is that people travel to the tip of the lake. It's an overcrowded place. You are with hundreds of other people staying in temporary camps. Using resources that are not naturally available there. The water is being sourced from some place which is 150 kilometers away. The food is being sourced from somewhere which is 150 kilometers away. But if you move from that particular point to just 10 kilometers ahead along the bank of the lake, you'll come across a beautiful village called Man, where the community has set up astronomy-led tourism. So what that means is these women, they're trained in operating these telescopes in the night skies. And you can see in the background, the clear sky, the number of stars that you can see. That is something that by living in a metropolitan city, I would never get to see given the current scenario. But traveling to these particular locations gives me that opportunity. And these women, they share what it looks like in terms of the the mythological stories that they have, or the stories that they've been passed down the generations, and they're trying to preserve that culture, that heritage, by sharing it, imparting it with you guys, and training the future generations in their community so that they also become astropreneurs. So we've all heard of entrepreneurs, but this community, led by a team of 6 people, out of which 5 are women, are now calling themselves as astropreneurs, astro entrepreneurs, wherein they are now generating more livelihood than ever through community-led tourism. And while you're staying in this particular village, again, there's no compromise on the accommodation. This is an example of how the accommodation would look like. And to give you an example, it's not just about visiting. And you can see on the left, you can see the image where Dorje from Man is standing next to the telescope that they're using. And a similar telescope is placed in a monastery close to Leh. So you can, next time you're traveling to Ladakh, visit this particular monastery, ask the monks to tell you about the stories that they have, or tell you about the fables that they have which correlates to the different stars in the night sky. And they'll take you on this beautiful journey wherein it'll help them as a source of imparting knowledge. At the same time, for you, it will create a lifetime memory wherein you will not just experience the Buddhist culture there, but also see how it correlates to astronomy, how it correlates to the different stars, and how the people living in these particular regions have throughout generations or throughout centuries looked to these stars for timelines before the calendars were there. And with all of this, it's all about contributing positively as a traveler. You need to ensure that when you travel, you choose destinations that are sustainable, you choose accommodations that are sustainable, you stay with the locals, you source food locally, you reuse amenities, you carry your own water bottles, you stay in with the locals as much as possible. You encourage them to because if you stay with the locals, they'll give you stories, they'll give you experiences like none other. They can take you on walks in the morning. They can tell you about stories about history of that particular region. Solar powered homestays if possible, and in general, a carbon neutral accommodation. All of this combined creates a sustainable destination. And if you choose, even out of the 8 different elements that I mentioned here, if you choose 5 or 6 different elements, that would be enough. That would be a good start. You start with one single element today, and that's a start, I'd say. And I'll congratulate you if you make a decision today. Okay, and this is somewhere I'm traveling in the next 2 weeks, and this is one decision that I'm going to take in a positive direction about leaving a positive footprint. And this is something that I have learned over time. This is something that I've experienced over time, and that is something that I wanted to share today as well. And the next question comes, what can we do as a traveler? We visit these locations and how can we ensure, what key steps can we take? And I'll share just 4 or 5 small steps that I particularly believe that if we follow, can lead to big changes in not just in these communities, but in our travel pattern as well. Because once you visit these communities, it's about educating ourselves with their culture, familiarizing with the habits of their lives, understanding the challenges that they face, understanding how the food that you're getting on your plate has come. And once you do that, it's beautiful. It's a journey like none other, and that is something that I've experienced, and that I would love each and every one of us through this session who joined this session to explore India, but in a responsible manner. And the first example is carry your own water bottle. We've come across this particular point thrice today. And why I'm focusing so much is because, especially in Northeast India, you will find water. You'll find potable water almost everywhere you go. But people have chosen plastic water bottles once their bottles is finished. And what I've seen is a huge pile of water bottles that are garbage pile up, and no clear systems on how to upcycle, recycle, or manage that waste. So this one small step, if I'm traveling to any particular place, and I've experienced this, I still have my water bottle with me. I carry this particular bottle everywhere. And why I do that is because I want to ensure that I reduce my plastic footprint wherever I go. I ensure that when I'm traveling to these particular locations, my plastic usage is bare minimum. And as part of that is the next step. We all love the Maggie culture. We are all a fan of Maggie. And we all demanded Maggie when we travel because it's a staple food. It's very easy for us to get Maggie. But what if you choose to try the local dishes? What if you choose to skip Maggie for a meal and see what the locals are eating? If it is something that interests you, if it is something that creates some curiosity in you and that you want to try, give it a try. It'll be worth it, I can tell you. And once you do that, there's no going back. Once you make the move from the Maggie culture to trying out local delicacies, wherever you travel, there is no going back. And it's worth it. The third thing that I wanted to share is about respecting the local traditions. Wherever you go, be wary that you are going there as a traveler, you are a guest. Keep that in mind. As within our families, if we go to someone's place, we are very, very careful about the way we behave, about the actions that we take. Let's follow the similar practice when we travel to these destinations. Let's not travel as travelers, but as guests to these locations. understand that this is their place, understand that this is their community, understand that this is where they live, this is where they reside, and be conscious about the decisions that we make, about throwing a piece of paper here or a wrapper there, or playing loud music in the night, for an example. Let's be conscious of these decisions that we make. And once we're doing that, also ensure that we support the local people by buying local handicraft. One simple example that I would like to give you that I've experienced just 1 month back is I bought a balancing grasshopper, which was a wooden balancing grasshopper that I found. And it costed $250 for one single grasshopper. And it's a very beautiful piece of handicraft, which you can just balance on the tip of your finger. And it stays there, and it's a handmade product. And initially I thought that this is too expensive for such a small product. I came home, I searched online, I found the same product online for more than $20. Staying at home, I would have chosen to buy that product online. We don't mind spending loads and loads of money, tons of money on products online, rather than supporting these local initiatives on a local level when we travel to these places. So next time you travel to a place, make the choice of visiting a handicraft place that is locally sourced. Meet people who have been working on preserving these activities or these talents for generations, and support them. One small step for you. The example is very simple. I brought that grasshopper home. I showed it a couple of friends, and they also wanted the same. The next thing I did was I called up the person that I bought it from. I had his number. I told him, can you ship these? And he's now figuring out a way to ship. For my friends, they're saving money. For that particular person, he is making money. And that is what one simple step means. One small initiative of buying local means. And the last thing that I wanted to share with you guys is carry your waste wherever you go. I've made this a habit of the past 5 years that if I'm eating, for example, I'm traveling and I have a packet of biscuits that I'm carrying as a snack with me, and I've eaten it, and I don't find a dustbin nearby or a place where I can probably dispose it off, I put it back in my backpack. I have a bag with me always, or I always have one pocket in my my attire that is empty. Why not use that? Why not keep it there? At the end of the day, you'll definitely go to a place where there will be some proper mechanism of disposal for waste. Why not hold your waste until then and dispose it off there rather than just throwing it on the way? For trekkers, this is an example where where trekkers who travel responsibly always have a garbage bag with them. So they carry their garbage along with them from the start, complete the trek and come back and then dispose it off. And that's a very small step. It's a very, what does it take for you to not throw that wrapper out, keep it in your pocket or your backpack? What does it take for you to not throw it on your trek route, but keep it with you and then bring it back? Nothing. But what it does for the local community is it eases down the pressure on them for cleaning the place. It eases down the pressure on the local flora and fauna that is already tackling waste management, that is already tackling climate change. And with this, I feel that these are just 5 simple examples that I wanted to share, that I feel that start with one, and it's a start. It's worth it. It's enough to start with one. And that is what I'm here to share with. And become a sustainable traveler, become a responsible traveler. Travel to these places, travel as much as you can. Find places next to a hotspot. If you find an example of Shimla, if you're traveling to Shimla, why not visit some place nearby, Kufri, Theog, any place. Find places that you can travel to. And once you do that, you're not just supporting the local economy, but creating a new experience for yourself as well. And that is where I would like to end this conversation for any questions that we have. And that is something that I wanted to share about responsible travel in general as well. Thank you. I do see there are a couple of...
Thank you, sir. There are some question in Q&A section.
Yes. I'm looking at these questions. So there's someone from Odisha, there's a gentleman from Odisha who's asking about carbon footprint calculator for particular destinations. What I'd recommend is there are multiple options for going through, calculating your carbon footprint. But firstly, you need to understand how much of a coverage do you need in terms of the calculating of carbon footprint? Is it just going to be for the stay of the person who's coming, or is it as a destination or as a property in total? And once you figure out this particular part, there are multiple tools available online. Happy to connect offline as well and discuss this. The next question I have is about individual homes is a better option, or a community managed centralized unit like few rooms with facilities is better. My recommendation is individual homestays. Some will kick off in a positive way. Some will be a different experience, but it will give you the option of interacting with the locals on a personal level, which is not possible on a centralized unit. So I would prefer a homestay over a centralized unit, and that's my take on it. Lastly, please search about Palau. Happy to please search online and you'll find it. And it's not just about Palau, but I guess in general, a lot of different destinations are now becoming carbon positive, are becoming carbon neutral, are becoming responsible at the same time. And it's about taking these small, it's about travel anywhere. Not just Palau, travel anywhere. Follow any of the steps that we discussed today, and it's enough. And the last question I have is, Maggie is a downfall tourism concept. I wouldn't term it like that, but what I'll say is, it's a snack that we all enjoy at home. Let's keep it that way. And I guess with that, the questions are done.
Thank you very much, Bishal sir. That was really, really, really very important, message you have conveyed today to all our audience. And thank you to all the students who have attended today. I think you have got something interesting to follow when you next travel somewhere. You will have a look you will be looking it in a different way. And with this, we should end the session now. And you people, please go and join the quiz, which is waiting for you now. It's already open. So have a nice day and enjoy your weekend with that. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.